going all the way back to 1952. Happy hobby, I'm Dave Goss. If you're a sports car collector working on a limited budget, that's what this channel is all about. Today, we are talking about the 10 most valuable cards from 1952 Topps Baseball. Not really budget friendly. Let me just go ahead and say that now. These aren't going to be budget friendly, but it's good to know that these cards are out there. You can set a goal to someday get some of these cards. They're pretty awesome cards. So we're talking 1952 now. This was the first set for Topps to make baseball cards. They did some in 1951, but it was more of a game, more of a card game type thing. 1952 was the actual first baseball card set, what people were used to from Leaf and from Bowman and from those companies that were in the previous few years making cards. So Topps jumped in competition with them, specifically with Bowman at this point. Now, as you see these cards, as I go through these, just know that it was going to be a few more years before Topps started using photographs, color photographs for their cards. So these were more like artistic renditions of the players and of the action and such. Now, once they started using photographs, it was kind of rough start. In 1957, not a great look. Personally, I didn't think were great looking cards, except the Mickey Mantle. The Mickey Mantle is pretty gorgeous. Anyways, let's get back to 1952. So just know that these colorized, painted kind of cards, they happen for a few years for Topps, and we're thankful for it because they are beautiful cards. They are works of art, in my opinion, especially the Mickey Mantle, which is just an absolutely gorgeous card. And speaking of Mickey Mantle, you think of the New York teams. Now, there was only 16 Major League Baseball teams in 1952. So 3 of them hailed from New York. That's almost 20% came from New York. Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants, and the New York Yankees. So it stands to reason that a lot of players, or a lot of cards in this top 10 most valuable list are cards of players from New York. And speaking of the Yankees, make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I have some pretty cool Yankees trivia that I think you'll enjoy. So we look back to 1952. It's a very important year in television, interestingly enough. Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. I Love Lucy, one of the all-time greatest shows ever. American Bandstand started in this year. The Today Show started in this year. Gene Kelly was dancing it up and singing in the rain, and on our radios was Satchmo, Louis Armstrong, and Billie Holiday singing Up a Storm. So 1952 was a different era altogether, and a lot of the kids from this era were the baby boom generation that came from the post-war marriages. Men coming back from war, getting married, or coming back to their families and having more kids in the prosperous 1950s for America. So a lot of the kids from them happy to collect cards, big into sports. Televised baseball became a thing. So there's a lot of reasons why baseball cards became a much more popular thing in the 50s. And part of that was because of Topps, because they ended up ruling the world eventually. So let's get into this top 10 most valuable cards from 1952. And you already know the number one. It's Mickey Mantle. I mentioned him earlier. It's an absolutely beautiful card. Now, Mickey Mantle's rookie card, 1951 Bowman. And what's interesting is same with Willie Mays, 1951 Bowman. So Topps missed it by 1 year of having his true rookie card from 1951. And Mantle is, of course, the most collectible baseball player in all of sports card collecting. Even in 2007, he appeared on Derek Jeter's, a short print of Derek Jeter's where Mantle's in the dugout holding the bat. So he's pretty much a big deal in baseball cards, so it's pretty obvious why he would be number 1 here. And number 2, we go back to Willie Mays for number 2. I mentioned his Bowman 1951 card was his true rookie card. And what's interesting with this card is of the 2,400 copies that were graded at PSA, only one of these cards has a gem mint grade. That's pretty impressive. Now I move on to number 3, Jackie Robinson. Now, it's obvious, there's not a lot of Jackie Robinson cards out there. And that's for several reasons. First, he wasn't in the majors because of the color barrier for a while. Second, there weren't a ton of card manufacturers around at the time. Topps wasn't around when he started playing with the Dodgers. And third, because he spent some time in military service during World War II. So there just really weren't a lot of Jackie Robinson cards produced. But this card, his first Topps card, is absolutely gorgeous. This is a work of art. Look at the red background on this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it should definitely be considered one of the most valuable cards ever, much less just in this 1952 set. It is iconic. Now you can get the Project 2020 card, which I got. It's basically the same card, just in a different little design, more like kind of artsy-fartsy design of that design. And I absolutely love it. So I have this displayed in my little curio cabinet over here. So you can get that probably around 10 bucks on eBay. So you can check that out. Now we move on to number 4. Finally, the first rookie card of this list, the top 10 list, Eddie Mathews. Rookie for the Braves. I believe he was Boston Braves and then moved to Milwaukee the next year. Now, the strange thing about this card is it was number 407. It was the last card in the 1952 Topps set. Why is that important? Well, back then, kids used to, and I say back then, I mean even in the 70s when I was a kid, you would wrap a rubber band around your set of cards, and a lot of people would put them in card number order. So if Eddie Mathews was the last in the set, it was always going to be last in your stack of cards with a rubber band around it, and all the edges and all the corners just hitting, bumping into everything. So the card itself, tough to get graded really well, but it was the best. It's a Hall of Famer rookie card from that set, and it's the best one. And there were only 800 of these graded at PSA, and there's only 50, less than 50, that were graded as a PSA 7 or better. And now we move on to number 5, Roy Campanella, Campy, for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now, he was basically the Dodgers counterpart to the Yankees' Yogi Berra, the backstop for New York Yankees. Campanella, same thing as Jackie Robinson. Racial barrier problems, it kept him out of the majors for a while. He actually played in Venezuelan and Mexican leagues. He was in the Negro leagues. A lot of cards that we missed out on with Roy Campanella, but he was a 3-time MVP and a World Series champion in 1955. Absolutely ranks among one of the all-time great catchers to collect, which, by the way, I should do some videos on that, like each position, what are the best position players to get from each position. At any rate, Campanella, absolutely, he's up there with Yogi Berra and Johnny Bench, most collectible catchers ever. Okay, so now we move on to number 6. Everyone knows Andy Pafko. What? Who? Did you say? Andy Pafko. Now, here's why he was famous. Now, he did make 5 All-Star teams for those Dodgers, but the real reason he's on here is because he was the first card on the set, the number 1 card in the set. So set collectors obviously would want to get that card. But also because he was first on the set, much like Eddie Mathews at the back of the set, because Pafko was on the front, rubber bands affecting that front, or however they stored him, if they had him in the front, that card was getting the brunt of the damage around him. So it's very tough to find these graded highly. There's only 2,000 that were sent in a PSA. Only 1 has gotten a PSA 10, and 0 have a PSA 9, which is amazing. And this card is actually considered the most valuable common card ever. So that's pretty cool. Number 7, we go back to Yogi Berra, one of the all-time most quotable players ever, one of the biggest, best personalities in baseball ever. Yogi Berra behind Andy Pafko? What is happening? What's going on right now? But you know what? So the one thing I did want to mention about Yogi Berra is Yogi Berra and Joe DiMaggio are the only 2 players who have ever hit 350 home runs and struck out fewer than 500 times. That's pretty amazing. The only 2 players, DiMaggio and Berra. And don't forget, I got another nice little trivia nugget coming up at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Number 8, we move on to another rookie card, Tony Bartirome. This is with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I might not even be saying that right, because I've never heard of the guy before, but Bartirome, this was a rookie card. Now, he did spend 1 season in the majors in 1952, and he ended up joining the U.S. Army and being in the Army for the next 13 years. But he did go back to Pittsburgh and ended up being a trainer and an assistant coach later on. Number 9, we go back to Pee Wee Reese, the shortstop for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now, he was the shortstop counterpart to Jackie Robinson at second base. Pee Wee Reese, one of the greatest names in baseball. Definitely one of the most collectible. In a lot of movies, you see that depicts 1950s always gets Pee Wee Reese's name somehow mixed into the script, and it's always it's a pop culture name for sure. And really, his real name is Harold Reese. But could you see people getting excited about, hey, I got Harold Reese's card? Probably not. No, that's not going to happen. He ended up winning 7 pennants with the Dodgers, and he was the captain of that Brooklyn Dodgers team. Number 10 on the list is surprising to me, not because of who the player is, but why. I still don't know why the player. Bill Dickey of the New York Yankees, number 10 on this list of the most valuable Topps 1952 cards. Dickey was a Hall of Fame catcher. He was a Yankees, great. Played with some amazing players back in the day. Joe DiMaggio ended up bridging the gap over to Yogi Berra. But really, he stopped playing baseball about 6 years previous to this card coming out. So why, what, how, he retired? I don't understand. Why is he in this set? And again, Dickey did miss 2 years of baseball in service in the World War II in 1944 and 1945. So here are some other great cards to consider from the 1952 Topps set. We've done the top 10, but some other great rookie cards. Billy Martin, the eventual legendary Yankees manager. Joe Nuxhall, Hoyt Wilhelm, and Dick Williams, 2 other great rookie cards. Larry Doby, the first black player to join the American League, I believe. Phil Rizzuto, Scooter he's a Hall of Famer with the Yankees. Richie Ashburn, Duke Snyder, Bob Feller, and Warren Spahn. All great Hall of Famers. All great cards to get. This set was pretty packed with Hall of Famers to try to collect. Okay, so let's get into the big trivia nugget you want to know about the Yankees. I mentioned it was Yogi Berra related. Yogi Berra and Bill Dickey are the only 2 Yankees players to both have their jersey number retired by the Yankees. How does that make sense? They both had number 8. Why did they both have them retired? The reason being is Bill Dickey's, he was the number 8 jersey when he played, back with Joe DiMaggio and such. And then Yogi Berra, he ended up wearing it after Dickey retired. They had not yet retired the jersey number yet. So Yogi Berra got the jersey number 8 also, and eventually both numbers were retired. And what's interesting is they both played together for 1 season in 1946. That was Bill Dickey's last season and Yogi Berra's first season with the Yankees, but they never played in a game together. So that's all we have. That's the top 10 1952 Topps cards. Now, stay tuned because we're going to be doing other sets. We've already done a bunch of other sets. You can see the things here. Go through, check out those videos, top 10 cards from those other years. We're going to be doing all of these all the way up to currently. So make sure you check out the other videos. 1953 we'll have up pretty soon. Whatever you do, have a happy hobby.